Welcome back to Freedom That Lasts. Over our last several sessions, we have been talking about the importance of understanding how Satan has destroyed the world through lies. And we'll review a little bit about that in just a moment. But I want us to concentrate on a little different aspect of this matter of lying and discuss the fact that telling a lie is believing a lie. And as we've looked at before, Satan destroys lives through lies. This was his plan from the very beginning of his own rebellion against God. And Jesus made an interesting commentary about Satan when he was addressing the Pharisees, the religious leaders of his day, who rejected him as the Messiah. And Jesus said in very strong statements, "You are of your father, the devil, and the lusts or the desires of your father you will do." He was a murderer from the beginning. In other words, he was destructive. And he abode not in the truth. He doesn't even live in the realm of truth, because there's no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh out of his own heart, for he is a liar and the father of it. Every lie in the world that anybody's ever told has emanated from Satan himself. And we've learned that behind every fall is belief in a lie. Every time we fall into sin, every time we're tempted and give in, we have believed a lie. Like, this is too much for me, I may as well give in. I can manage this myself, I'm okay, everybody else does this. We're believing lies. And when we believe those lies, we will fall. Well, Satan tried to get them, to Adam and Eve, to believe lies about God. That God was withholding something good from them, and that God himself was not good. He lied to them about themselves. He tried to get them to believe they needed the fruit to be wise like God. And he lied to them about how God's world works. God had said, in the day that you eat of this tree, you're going to die. And Satan said, no, you won't. But what I want to concentrate on this today is that Adam and Eve lied about who was at fault. Once you believe lies, you will be telling lies. And Adam and Eve lied about who's at fault. Adam tried to blame it on Eve, and Eve tried to blame it on the snake. Well, telling lies proves that we are believing lies. Here is Jack and his wife, Julie. And Julie has just found out that Jack blew his bonus check on a gambling binge. And he'd received this bonus check, and he told her that he had gone to the bank and he cashed it, and then he stopped by the gym to work out a little bit, and somebody stole it out of his locker. Well, it was a lie. He's living in a fantasy world. That world that he's reporting didn't happen. It's just like that Santa Claus story that we looked at last week. It didn't happen that way. It's a fantasy world. It's make-believe. And Jack is making up a story. He's in a fantasy world, and he's trying to get Julie to believe that reindeer can fly as well, as we talked about last session. But Julie kept badgering him about reporting it to the police, or at least going to the gym owner and letting them know about it so they could check security cameras and so forth. And finally he admitted that he'd lost it all in gambling. And of course, Julie was furious. Lying is an attempt to make other people live in my fantasy world of unbelief, of make-believe, excuse me. And lying is a serious break with reality. Stolen money out of a gym bag did not happen. And to continue to communicate that is a break with reality. The reality is he gambled it away. Lying is an attempt to get something I don't deserve. Praise for something, accolades, rewards, awards for something I didn't do, or lying is an attempt to avoid consequences I do deserve. And of course, Jack deserves the consequences of his wife's displeasure over this, and God's displeasure as well for wasting the money in this way. And lying has many masks, doesn't it? That not all of our lies come the same way. For example, it's okay for me to take this money from my friend's dresser, or from the cash drawer at work, or it's okay for me to forge a check from mom and sign her name to it. I'll pay it back later and no one will ever know. Well, that's a lie. It is not okay. If something belongs to somebody else, it is not okay for you to use it without their permission. Or I'll use my roommate's car. He's over at Joe's and won't ever know he let me borrow it once last week. Just because he let you borrow it last week doesn't mean that it's okay for you to use that car anytime that you want. Or the boss isn't paying me enough. Taking this will even the score some. So I can take home some merchandise from the store and that'll even out what the boss really owes me. Well, if something isn't yours, as I said, you must ask permission. And secondly, if you intend to pay someone back, work out a payment plan with them and do that ahead of time. If the money belongs to somebody else, then they have a right to decide what to do with it and whether it comes to you or not, as a loan or as a gift or whatever. But it's a fantasy world to think that these things are okay to do. Or I'll walk around pretending to talk on my phone to that popular girl or to a local celebrity or to an elected official or to my manager at work so that people will think that I'm important and will respect me. So I'm living in a fantasy world, a make-believe world that I'm talking to this celebrity. Or I'm talking to this state official, or I'm talking to this, to my manager. And I'm living in a fantasy world, just talking to my phone into the air. But I'm trying to get other people to believe my fantasy world. And I'm deceiving them. I'm lying to them. Or I will lie about my work experience in order to get the job I want. Or in the job interview, I'll deny that I was fired from a previous job. Or I will pretend that I'm not feeling well so people will leave me alone or will feel sorry for me. Well, all of these are breaks with reality. They're all deceptions. They're all lies. And they show that we're believing a lie. But the way to make life work is not to tell the truth, but to tell lies. Or I'll make a story about that guy at work so that I'll get promoted instead of him. Or I'll tell my girlfriend that I love her in order to convince her to have sex with me. This is lying on several levels. It's living in a fantasy world that it's okay to have sex with a spouse that you're not married to. That's a fantasy world in itself. And then in order to get sex from the girlfriend, to lie to her, make her feel very special, and just have sex with her, this is also deceptive. I'll make sure my family looks good and behaves when we attend church so that no one will suspect that I'm mistreating them at home and am failing as a father and as a husband. This is a huge lie. Family knows that his facade, the image he portrays in public, is a lie because that's not the way he is at home. And it's very easy for us, is it not, to make everything look good on the outside, but on the inside we're just corrupt in some way. Or I'll find some way to get most of the credit for the project, even though my coworker did most of the work. All of these are masks of lying. Well, how does God feel about lying? Well, one of the 10 commandments, one of his top 10 concerns is thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So we know God's really, really concerned about this. In fact, Proverbs 12:22 says, lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. Proverbs 16 to 20 says, these things doth the Lord hate, a lying tongue, a false witness that speaketh lies, and there are 4 other things that he says he despises in Proverbs 16. Jesus said, on the other hand, I am the way, the truth, and the life. If we have any regard for Jesus, then we'll have regard for the truth. We'll want to tell the truth. As I said before, telling lies proves that we are believing lies. Lying imitates Satan and offends God. That bottom line, we're becoming just like Satan when we lie, because he's the father of lies. And we're offending God, the God of truth. Lying is arrogant and disrespectful. It says, my way of viewing the world is more important than yours, and I'm going to manipulate your your view of the world so that I can get what I want. And lying is manipulative and self-serving. And that's one of the reasons people get so offended, is because they want to make decisions based on reality, based on the truth. And when we don't give them the truth and we manipulate the reality so that they'll make a different decision in our favor, they're furious with that, and rightly so. Lying is always destructive and leads to more lies, because you have to tell another lie to cover up the initial lie. And lying is sin and must be confessed to God and others as sin. It's a serious matter to tell lies. It's just commonplace today, but it is wicked. It is very much like Satan. And as we say every week, we do what we do because we are what we are. And to change what we do, we must cooperate with God to change what we are. And we've talked about the illustration of the tea bag. You put a tea bag in hot water, and the tea that's in it, the flavor of the tea that's in it comes out and flavors the water. And if we want a different flavor in the water under the hot water circumstances of life, we've got to change what's in the tea bag. We've got to change what's in our heart. And biblical change is always going to involve repenting of a sin to God and other people, and learning God's ways and thoughts, and then obeying God. Now, I don't have time to go into that whole process of change in this short video this weekend, but I would point you back to a book I showed to you just a few weeks ago. Help, I'm Addicted. It's a very small book, only 60 pages long, and you can get it on Amazon.com. It will help you apply biblical change to whatever life-dominating sin you may have. So this week, I'm just going to encourage you to do what you've been doing the last couple of weeks. Listen daily to the scripture meditations on the Freedom at Last additional resources page, and it gives you the link there. Download the Stabilizing Truths PDF from that page, and begin memorizing all the truths and add the verses. I hope you're onto some of the verses by now. Work on your Freedom at Last curriculum. Stay connected to your care group leader, and stay connected to your local Bible teaching church. All of those things are important if you're going to be stable during these unstable times. So if we were in class together, we would have started this session with these things: our motto, our change principle, and our key verses. So let's end our session with these tonight. Our motto is, and say it together with me, Jesus Christ is the only source of freedom at last. Freedom isn't found in a facility or program or even in a mentor unless they are pointing us to Jesus. Our change principle, we looked at it with respect to the tea bag. We do what we do because we are what we are. To change what we do, we must cooperate with God to change what we are. And then our key verses, where Peter says, 2 Peter 1, 5 to 7 and 10, and beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control endurance, and to endurance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. For if you do these things, you shall never fall, Peter says. 2 Peter 1, 5 to 7 and 10. Well, I hope this has given you some more things to think about. We'll revisit some more of these aspects of believing the right thing next week. And we'll, in the meantime, God bless you, and I pray that you'll have a very profitable time hearing and doing God's word this week. May God bless you.